My name is Temitope Ajayi. I'm a Senior Special Assistant to the President of Media and Publicity.
My name is Ogra, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Digital Communications and New Media.
I always tell my friends in the media, and it's journalism, it's journalism 101. You are supposed to inform, educate, and entertain. So that responsibility of giving the right information, informing the people appropriately, also educating. Education here means giving the right perspective, the right nuances to a story. So the media should also help the public to understand some of these things, break it down for them. It's not enough to always want to. There's always this tendency or proclivity to always want to pander to populism. It's good.
It boosts sales.
It boosts.
You cannot sacrifice your fiduciary responsibility as the fourth realm of the state, in favor of clicks. Because I see that happen a lot of times. You bring government officials, you bring policymakers to your TV stations or your newspapers to do an interview. And you see the line of questioning, and most times I ask myself, are they doing what they're supposed to do? Yes, in a way, but also, like you said, they have to inform, they have to educate, they have to make sure that the public is knowledgeable on that subject matter. You see that lacking a lot of times. So you have an opportunity to interview someone. Why don't you use that opportunity to broaden the knowledge base of the people that
instead of just looking for sensation.
Instead of looking for sensational news, that doesn't mean you cannot be, a right wing or a left wing, media organization. You can be at opposition to the government, but you still have to present facts to the people in a way that helps broaden national discourse.
I agree totally with you.
And that brings me to this thing about, the protests, because everything we have said now, one way or the other, has if affected the way the protests were perceived and the way the protests went and all that. And I remember weeks before the protests, the body language from the government was that this government of President Bola Tinubu, the Tinubu-Shettima administration, is not going to, impugn on the rights of
citizens,
any citizen, which is the right to freedom of assembly, the right to expression of oneself, the right to freedom of speech.
And even right to freedom to protest in the democracy.
But of course. But at the same time, a lawyer friend of mine told me one day and said, Terry, I hope you know that your right to freedom of speech is not absolute. The same constitution that guarantees those rights
also puts some limits.
Also puts limitations to them. For instance, if you exercise your right to protest, you should not use that to, block someone else's rights to go about their legitimate business. The two are...
That is why even in the more advanced democracies or even more developed societies like US, UK, or anywhere in Europe, or North America, for example, you cannot go and do protests on the road.
It happened in Canada, and for months, they were still arresting people even at the end of the
day. Sending them to jail.
See what has happened in the UK recently.
So you can protest, but that is even where we copied democracy, all of our system of government from. You have to even apply for to police or law enforcement.
In Nigeria, it's not necessary you apply.
And you will be given a particular place where you will do your protest. People go to in front of White House. Okay, I was in Washington in April for a conference organized by Princeton University on sovereign debt. So after the session, two of my friends living in America came around. Okay, let's just go out, let's go and get something to eat. So one of them said we should just take a stroll towards White House. So I was telling one of them who came from Nigeria to join us that each time I've gone to White House, there's always a protest. There's always one group or the other is always raising
an issue,
placard, whether it is on climate change or Palestinian issue, or not any matter. So that I was telling my friend that by the time we get to White House, so you will see people carry placard that I could bet. So when we got there, talk about you said so. So this gives credence to the fact that people are free to protest, but you do it in a orderly
Civilized
manner, in a way that doesn't disrupt
the lives of other citizens.
or create anarchy or this to breakdown of law and order. And I think that was essentially what the government did in Nigeria to make sure that I remember ministers, especially Minister of Information, SGF, and other senior officials of government coming out to say government wasn't against protest. But government will definitely be against breakdown of law and order.
I mean, there's a section in the Constitution that empowers, law enforcement to actually act.
No, there was a Supreme Court judgment on that, that government has a duty to ensure public safety, and that where it's a matter between law and order, the state has a responsibility to ensure that there's no breakdown of law and order. So freedom, and I'm saying that a Supreme Court judgment, that the freedom of citizens as entrenched in the Constitution can be abridged
where there's a breakdown.
When there's going to be a breakdown of law and order. I think we need to be clear about that.
I mean, Mr. President is a true Democrat. It was okay. He kept mentioning it in every meeting that Nigerians have that right to exercise their constitutionally guaranteed.
He didn't miss word with that. He himself was a leader of protest. So even as a governor, as a leader of opposition, but when people were saying that, but he protested. Yes, he did, but he didn't
lead to anarchy.
He came out himself. He didn't send somebody's child or daughter or son to go and protest while
he's sitting down.
He's sitting down, or maybe you are taking off to somewhere around the world. Every time he needed to, he came out. They were circulating.
So there was that personal responsibility on him.
Yeah.
To ensure that the people he was leading didn't, engage in any breakdown of law.
I remember. So there was a picture of him, former President Buhari, and some other political leaders who protested, I think against against third term in 2007, and even in 2011 towards election and all of that. So really, I don't think the president will ever be against the right of citizens to protest.